Thank you. I am so happy to share my trip to Switzerland and Italy with all of you. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
This has been actually a wonderful exercise for me because in assembling the information with the slides, I've researched Baba's trips to Switzerland and to Italy and found out that Baba was in Switzerland 6 times. The last time he was just going through the airport, but still 5 times, and one more airport run in 32, 34, 36, and 52 after the accident. And Baba was in Italy in 31, 32, and 33. And many of the stories you have heard, and as I go through my slides, I will share some of them with you. So this initially began as a desire to go to the Falenfluh, which is a mountain precipitous location in central Switzerland where Meher Baba did seclusion work in 1934. And when I met some friends in India last year who were going and go every year, they mentioned, yes, July 12th, 1934 was the day Meher Baba was on the Falenfluh doing spiritual work. And I wanted to go, and it ended up being the impetus for a trip that then included Italy and other places that Meher Baba had been. So I thought it would be wonderful to start with a picture of Baba, a photo of Baba. And this is in July of 34, just south of Zurich at the home of the Mertens, Hetty and Walter Mertens. And many of you have seen this photo. So why not start with Baba in Switzerland, looking very dapper in his Western suit, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Who was the girl in the photo that was sitting down on Baba's right?
Okay, so this is Anita.
Oh.
Yes.
This is Anita De Caro, and Margaret and Kitty.
Thanks.
If I do this, can you see this, my little arrow?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so my friend Karen Bramlett and I landed in Zurich, and this is where Zurich is. And we rented a car and we drove to Schwyz. So Baba had come from Zurich to Schwyz. He had been at the home of the Mertens outside of Zurich, and then he drove south to Schwyz. I didn't have a map that had all the little tiny towns, but we ended up in a location called Ilgau near the Falenfluh, which is this beautiful mountain place you will see soon. So this is the area we were. We drove to Schwyz and then stayed in Ilgau. Later you will see pictures of southern Switzerland, so then we went to Bellinzona. Baba was in Bellinzona, he was in Locarno, he was in Lugano. You've heard those names, I'm sure. And so that's southern Switzerland, where we went after a stay in mid-Switzerland. So here is the view from our little guest house. We were recommended to a little guest house called the Sigristen House. And the Sigristen House was a convent that has been converted into a very nice little guest house where we stayed. The woman who owns it has hostessed Baba lovers over the years, and she's very, very wonderful. If any of you decide you want to go for next July 12th.
How long was your travel from north to south?
From Zurich to this place is only an hour and a half. It's not far to get to this area.
Now, Cathy, how did you choose such a hot time of the year?
Because I was wanting to get to Falenfluh on the 12th of July. I mean, that was a specific date where Meher Baba was in seclusion, and I had to pretend the heat wasn't there.
Was it hot in Switzerland?
It was hot in Switzerland, but not at this location. This is our room with the very sweet little Swiss chairs and our little Swiss bedspreads and the pictures of the mountains.
Did you say were you traveling?
I was traveling with Karen Bramlett, who lives in Atlanta, and she and I were 3 weeks together and still love each other.
That's a good sign.
And there I am pretending to be the Queen of Sheba in our little Swiss chalet, very nice, very beautiful little converted convent, now guest house. And Karen is lifting, that's Karen, my friend Karen. And that's our cappuccinos that we're lifting in celebration. Aha. Now we arrived on the 9th of July. So here we are on the 10th, being silent in this little town. And we walked the mountain trails, and you can see the town of Ilgau where we stayed below. And I think this is a perfect time to ask Astrid to yodel for us.
Mein Vater ist ein Appenzeller, jololori, fest den Käse mit Saft im Teller, jololori, jo. Jololori, 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 jo. What we do in the mountains, we say,
Oh, good. So that's what, we didn't hear anybody as beautiful as singing in the mountains as Astrid, but I asked her if she'd specially come to yodel today. And we did have this wonderful event that I will tell you about. As we walked, we came upon a beautiful replica, I think, of the shrine of Lourdes. And we were silently sitting in a little kind of nearby open air place with benches. And all at once, townspeople came along, 7 or 8 women, a couple of men. And I had this desire, because there's Mary, in this beautiful grotto, to hear a song about Mary, but of course it was Silence Day. So Karen got out her Google Translate and wrote in German, "Could you sing a song for Mary?" And, handed it to these people, and they sort of looked around, and they finally found one of the fellows who was, had a good enough voice or felt drawn to do this. And he sang this beautiful song, German song about Mary. So that was a very special part of Silence Day for us. Okay, this shows where we stayed. Do you see Schwyz is here? Zurich is kind of up to the sort of north, and then an hour and a half south is Schwyz, and then you drive up this little road to Ilgau. On the 12th, Verena Steck, who is one of the 3 daughters of Max and Gisela Hafliger, who had come there to be there for this gathering, came and drove us up these steep mountain roads to the parking place from which we would walk. And she was very brave, and we were white-knuckling our ways around the corners of these mountain roads with, just praying that nobody was coming in the other direction. And as you can see, we're still here to tell the tale. So we drove, okay, so can you see this little red road here? Through the mountain meadows. And then we parked here, and then we walked about 40 minutes to you can see this incredible escarpment, this tremendous drop, which is where Baba went into seclusion. And so Alpine Meadow, we're about to walk into the woods. As we began our walk into the woods, there were wild blueberries, which this fellow is from Zurich, Hans Peter. This is Verena, the daughter of Max and Gisela, and Karen, eating wild blueberries. And when you get to the edge of this incredible precipice, there is this view that you cannot believe. Schwyz is here. This is called the Mieten, which is a famous mountain. Lake Zurich. Lake Lucerne is here, wrapped around here. And here's another view of Karen and myself looking out over this incredible precipice view. And when somebody asked Baba afterwards, showing him a map of this area, where did he go into seclusion, he just put his thumb on a map. So nobody knows exactly where Baba was, but this area has this incredible view. And every July 12th, the Baba people come from Switzerland, Germany, sometimes from France. And
Who was with Baba at the time he went into seclusion? That nobody knows.
he had asked some of the men, Mandali, Chanji, and let's see, I have it written here, Kaka, and okay, so I remember Okaka, Chanji, Todd, Walter, Mertens, but then Walter's hand was hurt, and Hetty drove them up, and Quentin Todd and Kaka and Chanji went with him, and Baba went into seclusion, had this incredible meeting with the hierarchy. I had the good fortune to have met Hetty Mertens in 1977, and she told a story that she drove them up to the mountain, came back below to Schwyz, looked up at a certain point, there was tremendous rain falling over the edge of this precipitous mountain, and in the middle, a circle of radiant light where no rain was falling. And she was just amazed. Meanwhile, back up on the Falenfluh, the men were rushing around, drenched wet, trying to get firewood in case Baba would come out and be totally, drenched. And Baba came out radiantly happy and dry. Earlier than expected at 4:30 p.m., July 12th, 34, Baba rose from his bedding, put on his coat and pants, and walked back to the men. To their amazement, he was completely dry. When asked about it, Baba simply smiled, a significant smile, which the men intuitively understood. He was radiant, beaming. He later remarked, "I am very happy. I am satisfied with the work done here. It was better than at Assisi. When I work like this, a meeting of large numbers of my agents is held, but you cannot see them with your gross eyes. Sometimes, though, you can hear a rumble like boot steps." So that's one of the descriptions of Baba on the Falenfluh. So some of the people who were here were sitting in these nice rustic benches. Most of these people are Swiss or German. And this is the whole group. There were 15 of us. I don't know if you want me to tell you names of people, or should I just go on?
Yeah.
Do you want names, or?
Yeah.
So Gisela,
No.
This is Ursula and her husband Dieter Lange, and they're from Germany, and they were the ones who initially said, join us. This woman, Felicity, lives in London. Monica lives in Zurich. Giordano and his wife, who's taking the picture, live in Slovenia. This is Verena, the daughter of Max and Gisela. Hans Peter from Zurich. This couple from Germany. I can't remember their names. Anyway, sorry. This is Helga Imseli, who has put together a Meher Baba Europe website. She's Zurich. There's me and Karen, and this woman, Nina Davis, is a doctor who lives in Germany, and this is her boyfriend who is just learning about Baba and feeling very happy to be with all of us. And Nina had brought a guitar, so after we said the prayers, we had some nice music on the Falenfluh, and here we are. It was raining lightly by the time we left. Many people I've talked to have said that they went to the Falenfluh, but it was either raining or overcast, and they couldn't see a thing. So we were extremely fortunate that we had such a beautiful day. And here we are about to leave. That's definitely the beauty of Switzerland. On the way back to the cars, we saw Bruder Klaus, a little shrine to Bruder Klaus. And he's kind of the patron saint of Switzerland. He helped warring factions come together. His esteem was so great, the leaders of the different warring factions agreed to take his advice, even though this hermit was not there at the meeting in person. Rejoicing spread through the whole country, and people thanked God for the peace saved at the last minute through Bruder Klaus. A constitution was written for the enlarged Swiss Confederation. This would last for centuries, so he's considered the patron saint of Switzerland. And an interesting little side fact was that Baba revealed that one of the spirits whom he contacted during his seclusion at Falenfluh was extremely tall and bony. Some of the Swiss were quite convinced that Baba was referring to Bruder Klaus, the saintly spiritual figure known as, he was Nicolaus Falenfluh, but Bruder Klaus was his name. The following, and then they describe what he did, but so I think even Bruder Klaus was there at the meeting. On the way back from the Falenfluh, beautiful wildflowers. Then we went to Lake Lucerne, a number of us. And then Karen and I went south over the Goddard Pass to southern Switzerland. Here is our B&B. And we went to Locarno, and Baba, you've seen these pictures of Baba in '52 after the accident going to Switzerland. And I didn't realize it until just the other day when I looked up Sulduno. You've seen that Sulduno, the name of the place that he stayed with Walter and Hedy Mertens. And that is a suburb of Locarno. And we were in Locarno, but I didn't even realize it. But this is where Baba was in southern Switzerland, recovering in August of '52. This is a part of Locarno where we had heard that Baba went to this church. This was about 10 minutes from where that other picture was taken. And Baba, this is called Lago Maggiore. Baba went to this church. It's called Maria del Sasso. And there's the Madonna del Sasso church figure. There were these steps coming up a very steep hill past Stations of the Cross. And if you see these little white enclaves there, they're carved pictures of the Stations of the Cross, and Baba walked by those. And I don't know, will this work? Oh, good. Okay, so just to show you the steepness of these hills and these stations, and Baba walked up the hill past these carved Stations of the Cross, and at one point he said, "I remember when I was Jesus, a fat man kicked me, and he was so fat that he fell down." So seeing those Stations of the Cross reminded Baba of that moment in his past avataric advent. From southern Switzerland, we went into Italy, and we went to Verona. The lady in the white-haired lady is a relative of mine by marriage, and that is her mum, who has nice dyed hair, even though she's 20 years older and looks younger. Anyway, so Loretta, the lady with the nice white outfit, okay, she is, okay, here we go. My one sister's daughter is Corinna, who's in the middle, and she married Mattia, and Mattia is from Verona. So, going back, so actually Loretta came to America, and Al Grasso gave her the Italian tour of the Baba Center. So she speaks very little English, but she loved the center, so she has a connection with Baba. So we stayed with her. So this is Loretta, and she took us up to her mother's place to have pastries. Oh my God, oh my God. I wish I could transport you all there right now to this amazing pastry place. And this is where she grew up, in that little pink 3-story, 4-story house. Verona has many Roman, what would you call them?
Aqueducts and bridges.
Yeah, thank you. And there's even a Colosseum. And the Colosseum is used now for operas. So all year round people come and they have operatic presentations. And this is in Verona.
Never snows there?
Excuse me?
Does it never snow there?
Oh, maybe they do shut down in the winter. I don't know, but maybe it's just in the summer. Most probably. Then we went on to Venice, and Venice was extremely hot. And of course, we know that Baba was at St. Mark's. And if you see these columns here, you can, those are the ones that you remember that Baba sat under them. Let's see, did I put a picture in? No, maybe not. With the different close ones. Karen and I had thought that Baba sat under those big columns, but it turns out he had sat under these, which were close to St. Mark's Cathedral. We stayed on an island south of Venice, which is the main island in the background, and the Grand Canal, so you're having dinner right on the water there. St. Mark's had beautiful stonework and fossils in the flooring. It was just beautiful. As the sun set over Venice, we thought ahead to Assisi, which is where we went next. And Assisi, I'd like to just say that some of these photos are kindness of Carolyn Ball, who, for instance, she took this photo, and there weren't poppies when we were there, but it's just so pretty. I snuck it from her, and she gave me permission. So there's a lower Assisi, and then you see the mountains is where, the cave is up in this area where Baba went into seclusion. Just looking out over the town of Assisi from our guest house was beautiful. And it was so powerful there that neither one of us could sleep. I mean, we were just, the energy of St. Francis' presence there was such that in the middle of the night, as the full moon was traveling east to west, I took some photos of it, and there's Karen on the balcony of our little guest house, and it's moving to the west and then setting. And there was, at one point, do you see this a white horse in the clouds? Yeah. There's the head and there's the galloping feet. And St. Clair's Cathedral below, her sanctuary where she's buried, which is incredibly powerful. I mean, just reminded me of Baba's room, these places where these incredible saints' remains abide. The basilica is where Francis's body was buried. Very famous Giotto paintings there. And many of you know Jennifer Tinsman, who goes and stays for a couple of months. And she told me that she has befriended some of the people at this basilica, and she's actually been invited to help with some of the services. So Jennifer even helps with some of the readings at the services at this basilica when she goes to Assisi. This is the sanctuary, the crypt where Francis is buried. Again, incredibly powerful. Inside of this very ornate superstructure is this portiuncula where Francis, this used to be in the middle of the woods, and he and his early disciples first repaired this church. And this is, of course, now covered with this superstructure, which, of course, someday the tomb was going to be the same thing, but this was originally nothing there but just this little building where Francis and his early men disciples stayed.
Kathy, is it there where it originally was? Is that where it was, in the middle of the woods? That they didn't move it, in other words.
Mhm.
This one.
Yes.
And when were the paintings done, Kathy, on the outside? Is that later?
That's a very good question. I don't know, because they probably were done later. So, Francis was 1282 to 1326 is what I remember. No, 1126 was, or 1128 to 1228. And he was only 44 when he died. So this must have been afterwards that these were all painted. I'll look it up and let you know. The central square of Assisi. Just a typical day, looking up a side street, a little walkway street, and there's a nun going home for lunch. We were very fortunate that Valeria came to meet us, and here she had driven in from San Gemini, which is about an hour and a half away, and we had a wonderful time together. And here she was very intensely telling me about how she tried to run away from Mayor Baba. And she couldn't, no, this couldn't be what I want. And finally, Baba grabbed her. And she was particularly happy when she heard Karen's story, because Karen had the same, running away from Baba and then being grabbed by Baba. So they had a lot in common in that way. San Rufino, that was the church where Francis was baptized. Claire grew up in this there's this building here. And later, when Francis was more accepted and he was becoming well known and he would preach in this church, it is imagined that Claire, who was 12 years his junior, probably would hear him preaching and, began to realize, this is what I need too, this is what I want to do. So this square was filled with the words of Francis, and thousands would flock to hear him. And those of you who know art, to me this looks like a Modigliani.
Yep. And she looks like a Modigliani.
Yeah, she has that look. So Valeria was very sweet and drove us around town and shared many stories with us.
So she grew up in this area?
She was born in Rome, and her family home is San Gemini. So I don't think she grew up in Assisi, but then she, became drawn to helping the Westerners, and people coming from all over the Mondli came. And many of you who have been there, or all of you who have been there, remember the hermitage up on the mountain that is near the cave. So just to put timing to all of this, Baba's visit to the cave and to Assisi was in August of 1932. August 6th and 7th, 32. On August 1st, he sent Herbert from Portofino to Assisi to look for a cave. And the Falenfluh was July 34. It's interesting, just 2 years later, he was back in Switzerland. So, this was so interesting, just the different religious symbols reminding me of the tomb, of Baba's tomb.
Does that go with the original statue? Sorry. The circle thing, was that added later, or is that how it was originally?
This is more of a modern sculpture, so
Okay.
it's not an old, historic sculpture from the 1300s, it's.
All over maybe, or
Say that again?
Did the Baba never make that?
No.
It's pretty
I don't know who did,
amazing.
but it is so similar. I know, it's very inspiring. And you get that feeling in Assisi. It's a very universal. People from all religious faiths come there because of that power of his presence, which is so palpable to this day. Looking from the Hermitage down into Assisi and the valley below.
Can you go a little slower with the slides?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I was trying to.
Can you go back one?
Okay. So this is looking down into the valley below, and monks live in this hermitage. Franciscan monks live in this beautiful monastery. We were very fortunate that Emily Meyer met us and took us to the cave. So Emily said, "I don't want any pictures of me," but I thought she wouldn't mind if I just got one picture of her back. But don't tell.
Emily's here, right?
And she lives in Assisi now?
She lives in Assisi now. Mm-hmm.
But she's here now.
Yeah.
So that was nice that Emily took us, because it was rather hard to find. And I would say if you don't have somebody to take you there, it might be difficult. The maps are a little bit, it's not that easy to find. So if any of you haven't been and want to go, it's nice to take somebody with you who can be your guide. And Emily said that these wooden railings were added because it was so steep and people were falling, and they made paths. So Karen is walking down from the Hermitage following Emily, and Emily told us that the different caves were given to, or the different monks of his close circle, different brothers, went to different little caves. So Fra Brother Bernardo's cave, etc. And the cave that was the one that Baba went to is the last one, Beato Andrea das
Well, I'm very impressed.
Bello. And Emily has said that she's feeling concerned because with the people, Baba folks, leaving little Baba cards, and then something happened, and I don't know how long ago, that AMBKJ was carved into one of the posts, so she was saying that the monks are a little upset about just, the Mayor Baba folks kind of imposing their traditions. And so she has heard, and I don't know if this is true, that they might even take that name away, so that it might be harder to find the cave. Say that again.
Andrea
das Bello.
I knew it was too good to be true.
This is a map that I was given from Carolyn Ball, and this is the cave where Francis and Mayor Baba meditated. And there's the Hermitage, which we have just come from, is up here. You can walk all the way up, which it would take a long time, or there is a way you can have a taxi take you up, which was what we preferred. And
Take you up to the trail?
did we?
You take it up to a trail?
Yeah, there's a trailhead near where that nice statue is with the religious symbols.
Did you stay in Hermitage?
No, that's monks that are Franciscans, so it's not a place. I don't know. I don't know if people are allowed to stay. Men are allowed to stay there. But so as we approached the cave that Baba meditated in, there was a sign, and many of you have seen the pictures of the cave, which is really rather small. And as we got closer, do you see this kind of a fence, a wooden fence? on the side there, that had been actually placed in front of the entrance, and Emily just picked it up and moved it so that we could go into the cave itself. And I would say that was, with Falenfluh, this was, being in the cave was the most powerful part of my visit to Europe. I mean, Baba's presence was so incredible, and I could talk to you more about that later or now. It was just incredible. Well, maybe it's a good time to just say that it impressed upon me, Baba's new life and Baba's new life sayings and Francis's life, that we have to give up everything, that there's no compromise. And also I remembered Tom being told in Guru Prasad by Baba in '62 about everything has to go that stands in the way. And then he said, you have to love so much that all this world you see around you becomes completely unreal. At which point, Tom fell unconscious at Baba's feet. I felt the intensity of that, what Baba was saying to all of us, that everything has to go. And of course, I don't think for most of us it's going to mean that we just sort of give up our house and our belongings and our everything, but it's just an inner giving up everything. And it just was so powerful there that it felt like it was a call to reinvest myself in that inner process, to give everything that stands in the way to him. After being in the cave for half an hour, 45 minutes, we came out, and all at once, who should appear but a young woman and her husband, and we looked at her and she looked at us, and she said, Jai Baba. We said, Jai Baba. And turns out she's a Sufi from California. She lives in Walnut Creek. And she says, you look familiar. Did you ever come to Pennsylvania? I think when I was 9 years old, you came and visited my mom and dad, and it's true. So I just hadn't seen her since she was 9, and here she was outside of Baba's cave. So that was an interesting meeting, reunion.
What's her name?
Her name is Mary Lloyd. Mary Lloyd. And she was saying, I remember you were Cathy Haas, and you and Bob Brown and I went there, and you were singing, and it was so nice, and I was 9 years old, and we had such a great time. Anyway, that was a nice meeting outside the cave. And then inside, the reverberation of giving everything that stands in the way.
Kathy, these cards here, is this what Franciscan are objecting to?
What
You
is
said that the residents there, the Franciscans there, were objecting to the Mayor Baba things?
Well, so I think, since it's a Franciscan place, and I think people coming and putting, symbols of their religious tradition there, I assume they may be taking them away periodically, and then more people come and leave, So I think, and even Carolyn Ball in her book, Mayor Baba in Assisi, mentions that the thing about the carving that was upsetting to the monks. And, she was exhorting the Baba folks to please just let them be.
What was it they carved in initials that said, you're right.
Kathy, I have a question.
Yeah.
I've never been there. It had one of your exterior photos just before you went into the cave. It looks like you're stepping down into it. Could you just describe from that little lean-to stonework and wood, what happens physically to get into that space you just showed us?
There is a step down. Do you see the bench there in back of Karen? And there's that's not really a bench, it's this stone, these stone bench areas but you do step down slightly into this area. And
Is that lean-to so it doesn't rain, of the stone, I don't know what to call it, but that exterior compartmentalization for the cave, is that, I assume that wasn't there to begin with, or does it keep wind from blowing in, rain from going in? I'm confused.
You know, I don't really know, but somebody like Emily might know. I don't know, or Valeria probably. I've only been there recently, and I don't know the history of how that has been upkept and but probably they've had to do repairs over the centuries, I'm sure. Baba stayed at this hotel, which is called the Windsor Savoya, and after being in the cave, he came back and had a bath at this place. And Valeria, after taking us around, showed us this hotel, and it was the fanciest hotel in Assisi, and probably still is. On the way home, just the beauty of Assisi is fabulous, and we were taking photos. San Damiano was where Francis was, just below the main part of Assisi, and he came here with his early monks. And when Claire fled her family home in the middle of the night and came, and actually Francis cut her hair outside where the Portiuncula is, that little building that you ask about the artwork on it. He began to realize, as her sister and her mother and Claire's family all started flocking to this, what they call the second order, Francis and the men were the first order. The women started saying, I want God, and I want what you're showing me is resonating with me. So Francis gave this building, which they had rebuilt, to Claire and the sisters, and this is where they lived. And this is an incredibly powerful place also, one of my favorite places, the courtyard where the women, the sisters lived. And Claire died here, and to me, one of the most powerful experiences was being in the room where Claire passed. And at a certain point, Karen and I just sat down in the room, and all at once the room started filling up with all these, spiritual tourists who were there, and looking and seeing, we were sitting there and not just walking through. A few others started sitting, and then a few others started sitting, and then the whole room filled up with these people and sitting quietly. I just felt like I was at Baba's tomb. It was just so powerful and reverberating with God's presence. The guest house we stayed at was called St. Anthony's, and this is Sister Sue. Sister Sue is an American Franciscan nun who runs the guest house, and many Baba folks recommended this guest house to us. And then Karen and I went to Rome, the Pantheon and famous frescoes, and then the Vatican Museum with a Michelangelo, many famous statues. There was a room of 20th century religious art, and this was my favorite of those. Just the power of the way the artist used light and the pathos of Christ's suffering really were captured by the artist. And I was taking this picture when the guard came over to me and said, I thought he was going to say, stop taking photos, but he was saying, Madam, if you would go quickly, the Sistine Chapel is close by, and they close at 6:30, and it's 6:15, and you should rush along, because if you want to see the Sistine Chapel, you better go now. So I rushed with a number of other people, and we just stood in this huge, many of you have been there, huge chapel with this, the famous Michelangelo frescoes on the ceiling. Everybody's standing looking up. Okay, on the way home, we
No
walked.
pictures
What?
of the Sistine?
You're not allowed to take photos in the Sistine Chapel. You have to imagine. On the way home, I just liked the little bird on the statue's wing, so I captured that. And then after getting back, I felt very tired, 3 weeks on the road, got back to Myrtle Beach, woke up, and this friend was walking out my back door steps, and I thought the message was, the little snail was saying, now it's time to rest. And he was trying, or she was trying to figure out how to go from a step down to the next step, which he actually, or she turned around and went the other way. But I just thought Baba was saying, now just take a little time. And, and I just would love to, of course, end with Baba in a picture of Baba. There he is in Venice. And thank you, Baba. So everybody should go.
How you got, I mean, do you need to make a reservation ahead of time with these people that they are guiding you? How, I mean, I was wondering if the new people want to go. I've been there, but I haven't been in those areas. So I want to see how you guys, you contacting these people, their numbers somewhere that we can contact, for example, if we want to go next year. So, is there any way?
So I would definitely, I could give you the names of Ursula and Dieter in Germany and Verena in Zurich. I think they would be the good contacts. They were very helpful to us for Switzerland. I think that Valeria is getting older, and I think it's harder for her to, organize journeys now. So I would ask Emily Meyer is there, what she would recommend, because she's been helping, and I think they've got a website on Assisi. Don't they have a website of Baba's? I think they do. Yeah.
Did you travel all by car from Zurich to?
We rented a car in Zurich and went to Schwyz, and then went to southern Switzerland in the car, dropped the car off in southern Switzerland, and then took trains to Verona, Venice, Assisi, Rome. And the trains are very, very well, they really run on time, and you can.
How much is the expenses for staying in a hotel, or how much do you think that it costs people to stay overnight?
Like, for instance, I think the Swiss.
How much did you spend on your trip? On your trip,
Give me some vodka.
Vodka.
A lot of money. Oh, I don't,
10 grand, 20 grand,
no.
So hotels are like the cost of ours these days?
Well, look, for instance, the Ilgau little guest house was, I think it was, but we were there 4 days, yeah, so that was, oh shoot, I think that was $380 or something. That wasn't terrible, I think the whole, I'm not sure, but I think the whole trip, I'm sort of thinking might have been 6,000, something like that, 6,500, but Karen, my wonderful friend Karen, was our financial consultant and supervisor. So she was the one who took care of that, and I just, gave her the big bucks. But, I guess I feel so strongly that it was very important to be in those places, and if we have some extra energy and money, it's wonderful to. And I think one thing that hit me about Europe was, here is this major part of Baba's Advent in Switzerland, and there's just 15 people there, and not all of them are Swiss. And I just realized how we're so fortunate in America to have so many people connected to Mayor Baba, and Europe is just not there yet. Yeah, maybe it's coming, the Advent is coming there. But it's just, most of those people live in communities where they're the only Mayor Baba devotee, or there may be one or two, and so we're, I'd say, spoiled rotten, really, in a way.
I came late, so I don't know if it was mentioned, but in the last 20 or 30 years, they've given names to all the caves, and St. Francis's cave is known as Fra Egidio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that you can. It's easy to find now because that's the name of his cave.
Huh, that's interesting.
Egidio, Egidio.
That's interesting because sounds different than the name that Emily told me, but maybe, I don't know. So we'll have a conference.
She's in town now.
Yeah, we'll find out.
So what were Baba's directives to Herbert Davies when he was set to find the cave?
Yeah, he wanted something secluded and away from town, and I have that all written. And it took Herbert a long time to find this cave. And then, of course, Baba was so happy when he came out. I actually did have if there is.
How long was Baba in the cave?
Okay, here we go. The night of 4 p.m. August. He went in the evening of the 6th and came out 4 p.m. August 7th. And he said, spiritually, a big meeting of spiritual personages took place here, the likes of which has never before been held. It is due to the greatest upheaval that is coming for the world. It will be the greatest upheaval of all times. There's a long passage, but that.
It is in Lord Meher.
Oh, okay.
Just search for Assisi.
Yeah, okay.
I thought it was actually interesting as I was reading that Baba said that the meeting in Falenfluh was even more powerful than Assisi, which was very interesting to me to read that today when I was reading up on the two places, Falenfluh and Assisi. Because most of us, hear about Assisi or have been there, but fewer of us have been to the Falenfluh. I know people go there that other times besides July 12th because it is hot in Europe. And there are a number of people, I think, that do want to go in the fall, and, it would be a wonderful journey. Oh, Al. Al was the one who gave my relative the Italian tour of the Mayor Baba Center.
And now I think she's interested in Baba.
Now she's interested in Baba.
I was going to say there's another place called La Verna, which St. Francis used to go to in the wintertime, which is a little hard to get to, but that's where he received the stigmata.
Yes, that's.
When he got realized.
And Al, have you been there?
Yeah, I was there.
I've heard that it's very, very powerful there. I think Emily said that was one of his favorite places when she, invited Jim and their son Jack to go to Italy. Was it last year, I think?
Yeah.
So La Verna is about, I think, like an hour and a half from Assisi.
A little more than an hour and a half. But it's a mountainous road. It's not that easy to get to. Certain times during the year you can stay there. have your meals there.
Maybe, would you like to end with an Italian song?
No.
I'd love to, and
Oh, good. Could we
Alright,
do?
up there. One quick question before he sings. The two meetings that Baba had with the spiritual hierarchy, were they at the same trip or same time?
No, I
No?
mean, yeah,
One was-
okay, so August 6th, 7th, 32 was Assisi.
Uh-huh.
July 12th, 34
Okay, 2 years
was,
apart.
was Falenfluh. Mhm.
In any of the material you've read, did Baba ever comment? Obviously, Switzerland was very important to him. I mean, he went, you said, I think, 5 times?
Yes, I mean, the
Switzerland?
6th was just the plane landing and then going on, but 5 extended stays in Switzerland, yes.
Any comments in any of the Baba writings or Manjuli you've spoken with over the years about?
There is a huge, long, I don't know, like 150 pages written about Meher Baba in Switzerland by a fellow called Ove Wittstock, which I have, that I could send to anybody that wants to read it. And he said he had no idea. I mean, he was Swiss and he was a Baba lover. And he said he had no idea why Baba, why Switzerland was so important, but that he was there and tremendous work was done by Baba in Switzerland.
It must be the heart of Europe, maybe. It must be, I don't know.
Well, it was neutral.
All the European work probably.
I think that's, yeah, because it was neutral, I think he could use that as his almost central meeting place.
That's what I was going to say. It was neutral during all of World War II.
Yeah.
Amazingly enough, because it's in the center of all this conflict from every side. It's
Well,
mind-blowing.
actually in 34, Baba had said that he had placed a spiritual circle around Switzerland. So he created that safety zone. I don't know how he would say it.
Like, Iranian says Yazd, which is the center of Iran,
Mm-hmm.
that Baba's father came from and Baba visited,
Mm-hmm.
is a neutral place. That in case there is, World War or something like that, that is the safest place to be. All the Baba will say that even today.
Most of them, they moved there and they are
Yeah.
living.
And that's central Iran.
Central.
That's
If you
interesting.
look at the central map of Iran, you see Yazd.
Yes. Wow.
And in the war that Iraq and Iran that had many years, for 13 years, they had a war. That place, they never, Iraq,
Bombarded.
they never bombard.
Actually,
Because already it's bombarded.
there is a joke, that Saddam Hussein sent some planes to bombard the Yazd, and he sent 2 series of planes. One goes says, "This is all sand. I mean, I don't see anything to bombard. Why should I, waste my bomb?" So they pass away. The second one comes and says, "Oh my God, the first one really hit the other." So they saved that place.
I never heard that before. That's awesome.
Baba knew what he was doing. Well, I think we had some yodeling to start,
Yeah.
and now we need some Italian music to end.
okay.
Solo mio, or
A
some.
little history. By show of hands, how many people have heard O Sole Mio?
Yeah, but everybody.
So we've got half of them at least. How many people have heard the Italian national anthem?
How does it go? I mean, that's.
See, no one knows the Italian
So
national
let's
anthem.
hear that one.
And years ago, they couldn't find the music, so they said, well, we'll sing O Sole Mio. And that's probably the most well-known Italian song. It's actually a Neapolitan song. It's in dialect. The southern part of Italy has their own little dialects, and in some ways it's closer to Sicilian than it is Italian. And basically, it's a very simple song. It says, "How beautiful is a day with sunshine. After it's rained, the air seems so fresh. The fresh air makes it seem like a festival. But there's another soul, even more beautiful, oh my soul, I stand before thee. And then when nighttime comes and the sun goes down, a sort of melancholy overcomes me. Beneath your window I remain, beneath your window. Oh my soul, there's another song more beautiful still. Oh my soul. That's basically my translation of it anyway. Anyway, here's the song. I sang this in India when they had the Amritithi singing with, I think it was with Benedetta. She and I sang this song together. Anyway, here goes. Che bella cosa, una giornata e sole, l'aria serena, dopo una tempesta, per l'aria fresca, parigiana festa. Che bella cosa, una giornata e sole, ma nato sole, più bello ne, oh sole mio, sto in frente a te, oh sole mio, sto in frente a te, sto in frente a te. Quando fa notte, sole se ne scene, me viene quasi una malinconia. Sotto la finestra tua restaria. Quando fa notte il sole se ne scene. Ma nato sole più bello ne, oh sole mio, sto in frente a te, oh sole mio, sto in frente a te, sto in frente a te. I was getting better at being the fourth tenor. Everyone, I'm sure you wouldn't heard them sing that song. They do a much better job than I do, but I enjoyed it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That was really a gift to,
Thank you, Cathy.
and thank you, Baba, for creating Switzerland and Italy and all of us.
This was a great
Thank you for
talk.
sharing.
Yeah, thank you for
I
sharing.
thank you for calling me and telling me, because sometimes I'm not very good at looking at things on the internet. So I'm glad I was here.
Oh,
Thank you.
good. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.